and we've got Emily and Kay. Good morning. Can you hear us okay?
Oh, we can, yes.
Fantastic. Just to you, Emily, first, what do you actually do there at the airport, please?
Okay, so good morning. My name's Emily. I'm the Airfield Operations Controller.
And we've also got Kay. Hi, Kay.
Hi, good morning. My name's Kay. I'm a flow planner and work out where to park all the aircraft at the airport.
Well, we definitely want to know what a flow planner does. That sounds something that's really exciting. Never heard of a flow planner before, so we'll come back to that shortly. I don't know if we managed to get Khan on the audio. Is he available?
No, not yet, I don't think.
Okay, don't worry. We'll come back to Khan. So what we're going to do first, everybody, is we're going to play a short video. But before we do that, just a reminder to leave your questions up on the screen. On the right-hand side, you'll see a place where you can now ask the team questions. As you can see there, we're following an EasyJet flight. Is it going off, Emily, or coming in?
He's about to take off.
Oh, about to take off. How exciting. Well, just hold that shot for a second. See, obviously getting yourself into position, isn't it? So, yeah, well, just a reminder, schools, to leave us any questions for the guys this morning. If you want to maybe work at the airport or even work in this team, here's your chance to find out much more about what goes on at Gatwick Airport. In the meantime, here's a short video explaining much more about airfield operations. Thank you, Control.
Don't ever put yourself down and think that you can't do a particular role. I came into this role at 50 years of age. I never thought I'd get a job like this. My name's Andrew Newby. I'm an airfield controller and I've worked at Gatwick for 7 years. So my particular role today is wildlife hazard management. Wildlife control is something that we carry out at Gatwick 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
My name is Alan Napaya and I'm an Airfield Operations Controller. So we just completed one of our 4 runway inspections that we do on a daily basis. We conduct these runway inspections to check for any damage to the surface of the runway, any issues with the light fittings or any debris that we might find on the runway, either be rubbish or bird carcasses or animal carcasses.
Good morning, I'm Nick Bundy. I'm Airside Operations Controller here at Gatwick. There really is no typical day. We respond to a lot of things on the airfield. Could be a vehicle crash, could be a runway inspection, could be a marshalling job. So no 2 days are really the same here.
We have a really strict regime in controlling the wildlife within the confines of the airfield. Areas of particular interest outside the airfield are the approach to the airfield for aircraft that are landing and the climb out, that's aircraft that are departing. Any birds that are flying across those zones are of particular interest to us.
We carry out at least 4 inspections of the runway here every day, and we do 2 additional inspections of the runway at night.
During this morning's inspection, we noticed what could have been a loose light fitting, so my colleague stopped the vehicle and I got out to investigate. Luckily it wasn't loose, but the implications of having a loose light fitting would be that we might have to shut the runway and have it repaired.
We have 4 different means of dispersing birds on the airfield. We have the actual vehicle itself, our presence, we have the pyrotechnic, and we also have 2 guns, a shotgun and a .17 rimfire rifle, which we use for culling purposes as and when we need to.
So at Gatwick we normally park aircraft using electronic aids for the pilots to be able to park themselves. There are certain stands that don't have those electronic aids, so we need to then marshal them.
I've been at the airport for about 10 years now. Before that, I spent my time in the motor trade and in sales and sales management, looking for something a little bit more stable with more of a challenge. So I moved up to the airport and spent some time within a handling agent. And then whilst doing that job, I learnt about this role, and that was a lot of extra time, both studying what they do, spending time shadowing the guys to be in a good position. So if a job became available, I was best placed to take it.
So the skills you need to be an airfield operations controller is you need to be calm, level-headed, be able to work well under pressure, but the most important thing is you need to have a good sense of humour.
Within this job you spend quite a lot of the time working on your own, so you need to be able to turn up and make a decision and stick to it. We use various tools available at our disposal. They're both IT based and we take measurements, we look at dimensions of planes. Although it was a long time ago, I'm still using my math skills today.
If you're looking to move into airfield operations, I think a good starting point would be to look at some of the CAA publications, which will give you an overview of how an airfield runs.
The training for marshalling takes place in the classroom, and we also do on-job training out on the airfield.
If anybody is looking to pursue this role, I would highly recommend it. It's very exciting and you just have to have the determination to see a job through.
Well, we're almost live, so Cam, we'll come to you first. Yep. Okay, we're back live now. And thank you very much, Cam, for joining us this morning. Sorry about the audio problems you were having earlier, but hopefully you can hear us now.
I can indeed. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. I know it's quite windy there as well today, so if you could just tell us what you do there at the airport, please, Cam.
So hi, morning, everybody. Welcome to Gatwick Airport. My name's Cam. I'm the head here at Gatwick. So basically, what my job is about is looking after the safety and the welfare of all our passengers that travels through Gatwick every single day. Now, if you look behind me, we've got the runway, and this is the world's single busiest runway. Every minute, a plane land depart from our runway. And then behind us, we've got all the stands and the terminals, and then we have the aircraft control tower over here as well. So my job is just to make sure this operation and the team that run it, we operate successfully and safely every single day.
Fantastic. Cam, I'm just going to get you to move back slightly if you could, just away from the audio of the other guys. That's perfect, yeah. You're still in range. Is your phone on you, by the way? Have you got your phone with you? Fantastic. So what's just taking off there behind you now?
It's just an easy jet. I think people probably go on that holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. And how many is in the fleet there? Do you know how many planes they have at Gatwick?
So EasyJet are one of our main carriers here. They're one of our main customers, and they probably account for over 50% of our traffic. So the stats I'll show you guys is around 900 aircraft depart on land our airfield every single day.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Well, we're just going to have a word with the other guys as well. We've got Emily and Kay, who we were talking to earlier. Hi, Emily.
Hello.
Hi there. Can you hear us okay?
I can.
Fantastic. Emily, just tell us a little bit more then about what your role is there and what involvement you have with the Airfield operations.
Okay, so as an Airfield Operations Controller, I'm responsible for checking the safety of the airfield. So looking at all the taxiways, looking for any surface defects, any cracks, any fault that may be around. So that could be paper, plastic, any sort of animal remains. Also marshalling aircraft, so I can park an aircraft on stand. We do have guidance systems, but some stands don't have those, so I have to use the bats and bring them on stand. We escort aircraft. We bring them over from the hangar, which is over to my left. So aircraft go in there for maintenance, and we have to escort them back across the runway. We also do runway inspections, so we do 4 mandatory inspections every day, and then we do another extra 2 at night, so we're checking all the lights, all the paint markings, and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, we actually saw that on the video. It wasn't yourself, it was one of other members of your team doing the inspections, and they mentioned that. And one of the questions we had in earlier was, how do you find the time to do it with all those planes landing and taking off?
It's very tricky. We have to work really closely with air traffic control, and we're trying to get slots now so we can go on. It takes 4 minutes to do a runway inspection, but otherwise we have to go on and vacate to allow an aircraft to land to take off and then go back on. So it's pretty much time to precision.
And presumably if you do find a fault with a light, it can delay the whole operation, can it?
It can. It depends on the severity of the fault. If there was something severe, we would have to shut the runway, and obviously, as you can imagine, that causes a major disruption to aircraft and passengers.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it doesn't happen very often, and certainly hopefully not today while you're doing this. That could cause some chaos. Kay, thank you for that, Emily. Kay, you mentioned there before that you're a flow planner. I'm intrigued. What does a flow planner do?
Flow planner, basically, we look after the flow of the airfield, making sure that all the stands on the main piers in the North and South Terminal are occupied with aircraft, which obviously race come in as an arrival, with their passengers, offload their passengers, then with departing passengers will then go out on obviously the same aircraft. We then have to make sure that the right size aircraft fit on the right size stands. So if you've got a small size stand, we couldn't put a 747 on it. It would need to be a specific size for the 747. So as well as dealing with the day-to-day running of the aircraft coming in and out, we deal with any diversion. So say Heathrow was shut, some of their aircraft was diverting to Gatwick. So we would have to make sure that we've got handling agents for them, and also we've got aircraft stands for them, as well as looking after our own customers, which are base carriers at Gatwick.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you for explaining that. We know a little bit more. How long have you worked at the airport?
I've been at Gatwick 20 years and about 12 years with Airfield Ops doing the flow planning role.
Fantastic. And when you were at school, one of the questions, I'm going to ask you this first, I'm going to ask the rest of the guys as well. When you were at school, what was your favourite subject? Okay.
Favourite subject when I was at school? I enjoyed the sciences, biology and chemistry.
And do you think that's helped you? I mean, do you find you're using some of those subjects that you enjoy now in your work?
Some of them, yes. The qualifications I studied definitely involving teamwork and communication, IT skills. Definitely plays a part within the job.
Just a question we've had in from Greg. Thank you, Greg, for your question. Just come through now, actually, as we're talking about qualifications. For your role, Kay, as airside flow planner, what qualifications would you be expected to have?
Definitely good interpersonal skills, dealing with all the handling agents and the airlines, communication skills, team working skills. So obviously you're working as a watch, so you've got 4 of us in on a day, dealing with all the aircraft, so you have to work together as a team, and thinking outside the box sometimes, because no 2 days are the same. Yes, the aircraft come in and out, sometimes they have problems, and we have to quick thinking definitely is one of the key attributes.
Fantastic. I'm just going to just check, when you said qualifications, also academic qualifications, do you need A-levels to work there as a flow planner?
Some of my colleagues have A-levels and degrees. Some have been to college, some have just got GCSEs, but a lot of the grounding is once you're actually within the job, and also having a passion for aviation and aircraft as well.
Brilliant. We're just going to try Khan again. Khan, sorry, can we just bring you in there as that EasyJet plane flies in? Just want to check your audio again, because you're a little muffled before. What I might get you to do, if I may, is to use the guys' headset as well, because they're coming through nice and clear. But let's give it one more go. Let's give it one more go. I can see you've got like a rescue vehicle behind you there. Can you explain what that's doing? Is it just on standby?
So this is the fire building just behind us. And this particular vehicle you see is actually a set of rescue steps. So if, for example, an aircraft has an emergency, these steps will go out and help disembark passengers. Fire service actually operates out of Gatwick here. They do training every single day. And our fellow there is probably going out to practice run. Yeah.
We're losing you a little bit, Can. So can I ask you just to go to where Emily's standing? Maybe we'll take your phone off for now, and we'll share. You can share there. It's all very cosy, I know, but it'd be better than we'll be able to hear you then. Hopefully, Can.
Okay, great. This is part of the challenge of standing outside on the runway, isn't it?
It is indeed. Yes, it is indeed. Sorry, and. You were explaining, we were asking the guys before, I don't know if you heard us, we were explaining how they got into the role and what qualifications they need. So for you, yourself, what were you studying at college and university to get to where you are now?
Yeah, so I followed quite a traditional path, I would say. At school, I enjoyed my maths and sciences. And for A-levels, I did maths, physics, and then a double dose of maths because I enjoyed it so much. So I actually did further maths. At university, I studied engineering, and I think as all boys at that age, I had a real fascination for planes and cars, so it was quite a natural route for me.
And how long have you worked at the airport yourself now?
So at Gatwick, I've been here for 4 years now, mainly in the operations and also projects teams.
Yeah. So you look after the whole operation, do you know? Do you sort of manage different roles? So just give us a sense of the different roles that are available. We've already met Flow Planner with Kay and Emily as well, who looks after the inspections. What else is within the operations team?
Oh, okay. So we're massively varied. here. And that's why I think we all love our job so much. So I talked about the main kind of functions here. We have airfield operations, which is the girls beside us. We also have engineering, and they look after all the assets that you see. So the jet bridges, the lighting system. We also have the fire service, which is our standalone fire service in the airfield. And then, of course, there's air traffic control. So everything, when these planes take off and when they're in the sky, how they're coordinated and how they're directed is coordinated by the guys in our lovely tower just beside us. So each and every day is massively different and massively varied.
Absolutely. I'm just going to take some of the questions, Ken. If we start with yourself from the schools. We were asking this question earlier about subjects. You mentioned maths. Is that a key part of your role? Do you think maths is important to get as a qualification if you want to progress your career at the airport?
Yeah, I think having an absolute grasp of maths is essential. I wouldn't say I'm doing sums and calculations every day, but I think everything you look at requires a fundamental understanding of maths. If I want to figure out, how many passengers can my terminals handle, I need to be able to work out what is my flow rate, how many passengers come in, coming out, how many passengers will sit at any one time. So it's essential to be, fluent and be able to do some quick sums, and then that means that we can make decent decisions.
That's great. And from your point of view, Khan, I mean, when you're recruiting potentially young people who come to you or apply to you, what sort of skills and experience are you looking for?
Yeah, so I think a balance is important here. I heard you talking about, the extra vocational stuff. So good knowledge of the core, STEM subjects that we talk about, the maths and the sciences is essential. But then also on top of that, attitude is very important to us. So people have varied experiences, take part in extracurricular activities such as team sports or chicken vertebra, things like that. I think they all add to it. So attitude and how we approach a subject is just as important. Because knowledge you can teach. My view is knowledge you can teach, but attitude is something that is part of a person's character.
We're watching all these wonderful planes coming in and out this morning. It's a fantastic view, and seeing that as a backdrop this morning has been brilliant. Do you ever get a chance to go on the planes yourself? That was a question we had in from St Cuthbert's.
We'd love to. So I think I enjoy my holidays as much as anyone else do. But also it's just as exciting to work here at the airport. Yeah, because every day you see people going on their holidays and they're all happy and smiley, and then we love to be part of that experience.
But does your inspection, does it go on to inspecting the planes at all? I think that's the question, really.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. So we don't partake in any of the maintenance or in the inspection of the aircraft. In part of keeping our runway open, we do have flight calibration checks, so where an aircraft flies along and then checks our lighting and our instruments. So sometimes we get involved in that. But the opportunity is there, but it's not something we do on a daily basis.
And how did you get into this role in the first place? I mean, when you were sat in college or even in university, do you ever see yourself standing on the live broadcast from an airfield in Gatwick? Is that what you wanted to do, or were you thinking differently at that time?
I think this is kind of a dream come true from today, is it? I think I wouldn't say it was something I knew when I was young. I always knew I liked the engineering and the operation side of things. And I think it's a progression as well. As you do different jobs, it evolves. So I always knew I liked building things, developing things, and also running businesses as well. So I think the roles I took kind of led me to where I am today.
I know it might sound like an obvious thing to say, but does any young person need an interest in airlines or flying, or does that matter? Is it still just an operation at the end of the day?
I think it absolutely helps. And a lot of the people you see here, the air traffic controllers, the pilots, our operators, a lot of them do have a deep passion for this kind of thing. But I don't think it's essential. I think having an interest is key. And obviously partaking in it wherever you can will obviously increase your chances.
I think this is... Emily, can you still hear us, by the way?
I can.
Brilliant. I think this is a question for you, actually. So on the video, I don't know if you've seen the video with the guys, they were doing various hand signals. I suppose this is when it's not an automatic parking up for a plane. You have to use hand signals, don't you? With those little orange paddles. So I'm going to get you to do a little demonstration now as to what the different signals mean. So maybe you could do as a quick instruction of what you do to get a plane to park up.
Okay, let's just hope no planes follow me. Okay, so basically when you indicate that your stand is ready for you, you just pop your arms up, and obviously you've got paddles with you. And then once it's coming towards you, you want it to go forwards. So you bring your arms down and you do that motion, and that tells the aircraft to move in a straight line. Then if you want to turn it one way or the other, you literally just do one arm and then the other one, and then to stop it is a big X above your head. And that is how to park an aircraft.
So just four signals, isn't there, really? There's nothing that complicated.
No, I mean, you can do all sorts in aircraft. We do things called push and hold, which is basically if the slot is quite a long way away, we get an aircraft to park up on over there. If you see that Thomas Cook right in front of you, that's parked at a diagonal with its nose out. So that's ready so it can taxi out. So when it comes on, we have to spin it on the stand. So instead of doing the usual hand signals to park it in a straight line, we basically turn it in a circle and face it outwards.
And the big question from us in the studio here is, can they also double up as table tennis paddles as well? I mean, can you?
I wouldn't like to comment on that one.
Because they do look suspiciously like table tennis paddles.
They do, yeah.
Fantastic. So just tell us what's going on there this morning. I mean, what are we seeing behind you? I mean, and how involved would you be with what we're seeing now?
So you've got a Virgin 747 just coming in. That's one of our biggest aircraft. That's just landed. So it's just a normal day today. We've got about 900 movements again. And we're basically just doing our job, going around, inspecting everything, and we're on call if anything goes wrong. So say Tower need us to go and help them, they'll give us a call on the radio, and then we'll go and assist.
Yeah. Question about challenges. You know, what's the biggest challenge for you each day, or what do you find the hardest thing to deal with, or have to look out for whilst you're working at the airport?
Well, I think every day is a challenge, to be honest. I'm still quite new to the role, so I'm still learning, and it's a huge thing to learn. You know, I didn't know what a 320 was and a 747 was, so I'm still getting to grips with all that. It's huge. The whole airfield is massive. So yeah, every day is different. Every day is a challenge. And
is that why you enjoy the job so much? Is it because every day is different? Yeah,
definitely. It's varied. No day's the same. You don't get bored.
That's an impressive sight, that Virgin Atlantic coming in. Is it coming from? I presume from America somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that one's come from. It's either somewhere from the Caribbean or Vegas, somewhere like that. But yeah, it's a long haul flight.
And we saw the watchtower earlier. If we could just point to the watchtower again. How much communication do you have with those guys every day?
Oh, all the time. So one of our roles, we're actually a desk controller as well. So we've got basically a direct line to the tower. So we talk to them all the time, all day, every day, and night time as well.
And I mean, do you have to get used to this sort of terminology? Because I know they use their own sort of language, don't they?
Yeah, you have to be very professional, very quick and concise. No sort of pleasantries. You know, you can be polite, but they're under so much pressure, you have to be quick and to the point. Yeah.
Well, we're almost out of time. We've only got a couple of minutes left, so I'm just going to ask you this question first, and maybe come to the other guys as well. Question we had in, and we get this quite a lot actually. This came in earlier from St Cuthbert's Year 8. Thank you for your question. What's the best part of your job? So Emily, what's the best part of your role?
My best part for me, I think, is the runway. I just think it's a buzz that you can't get from any other job. So yeah, going out there, the responsibility, it's amazing.
And did that blow you away from the moment you saw it? Was that the first impression was just wow?
Yeah, and that never goes. Every time you go on it, it's incredible.
Okay. That's the same question of Kay. Kay, can you hear us?
I can, yes.
Yeah, I'm just asking you, what's the best part of your job?
Best part, troubleshooting and dealing with incidents, and obviously day-to-day sort of parking of the aircraft.
And meeting lots of different people, I guess, every day too, is it?
Yeah, but so obviously we're based in a control centre. You know, we're based in a control centre, so we tend not to see lots of people. We tend to deal with sort of obviously the planes versus the passengers, which the terminal staff will all deal with. So yeah, no, definitely varied days again.
Thank you. And last but not least, Khan, just what do you enjoy most about what you do?
Yeah. So I think what was said before absolutely stands. The runway is one of the most exciting places to be. But on top of that, it's being part of a great team as well. So there's a huge number of people that all work together to make it a success. And we're part of it. And we're also looking every day how we can make it better. And there's some really exciting projects that we work on. And that's what makes us come to work every day.
Yeah, and if you could just finally, Can, if you could imagine, Can, if you could just stay on for a second. If you could just imagine you had a group of young people in front of you now, 14, 15-year-olds, what would you say to them to try and inspire them to join your industry?
Yeah. So I don't want to sound like your mum and dad, but focus on the core subject, study hard, and actually just keep trying. If you fail, just try again, and then the sky is literally the limit. There's so much you can achieve.
That's a great way to finish the broadcast. I just want to say thank you so much for your patience this morning with the audio. We got there in the end, though, and we figured it out. And also want to say thank you to a wonderful camera person, Paula, who's been keeping us there. Yes, she's a big thumbs up for the guys, keeping us watching the planes and keeping you guys in shot as well. It's been a great shot. She's got a thumb in the way now. I think she's doing that on purpose, isn't she? Putting her thumb on the. That's it. I thought she was just teasing. us. But no, and also just thank you to the schools for your questions. Excellent questions as always. And just to remind you that a copy of this broadcast will be made available to you later next week as well. So just a big thank you to Emily, Kay and Khan. Thank you so much for your time this morning. It's been great to meet you. And hopefully we can have you back on, if you can bear it again, on another Gatwick Live broadcast.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Just hold the shot for a second, Paula. Okay, studio, you can fade to black.